Okay, so today let's dive into something kind of intriguing.
Okay.
The art of subtle information warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And like before you start picturing, you know, secret agents and hidden microphones and all that,
Right.
this is more about like the everyday kind of information gathering
Yeah.
that can give you an edge,
Okay.
whether you're, in a negotiation
Yeah.
or you're just trying to like understand someone's motivations or even just to protect yourself
Right.
from being misled.
Absolutely.
And our source for this deep dive is Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power,
Okay.
specifically Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy.
Right. And I think what Green so brilliantly points out in the book
Mm-hmm.
is that, knowledge is power, right?
Right.
But it's how we go about getting that knowledge
Yes.
that I think is where things get really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And he's not advocating for manipulation or anything.
Right.
He's really advocating for observation,
Yeah.
understanding the subtle cues, the unspoken motivations
Yeah.
that can reveal so much about the people around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what people say and what they're thinking are not always the same thing.
Exactly.
So how do we get better at,
Yeah.
being more like Sherlock Holmes,
Mm-hmm.
reading between the lines,
Right.
understanding the subtext?
Yeah. And one of the things that he does is he gives a really fascinating example
Okay.
of an art dealer named Joseph Duveen.
Mm.
And Duveen was determined to make Andrew Mellon
Oh,
a notoriously difficult client,
yeah.
his customer.
I bet that wasn't just a simple handshake deal.
No, not at all.
Tell me more.
No, Mellon, in fact, wouldn't even meet with him
Wow.
initially.
Oh.
But Duveen understood that to win someone over,
Yeah.
you have to really know
Right.
what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And so he spent years,
Wow.
and I mean years,
Years.
gathering information on Mellon,
Okay.
his tastes, his habits,
Mm-hmm.
his anxieties, everything.
Okay, talk about doing your homework.
Yeah.
What kind of information? I mean, how did he even access these details?
Well, this is where it gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
Duveen was very resourceful,
Mm-hmm.
and so he very discreetly
Mm-hmm.
built a network of informants,
Okay.
some even on Mellon's own staff,
Wow.
to gather intel.
Oh.
But it wasn't about like digging up dirt on Mellon or anything. It was about understanding
Yeah.
his psychology.
Okay, so he was really like building a profile
Exactly.
of what made this guy tick.
Yeah.
Okay, what did he do with all this information?
So he used it basically to orchestrate
Yeah.
the perfect chance encounter.
Okay.
So knowing that Mellon was staying at Claridge's Hotel in London,
Mm-hmm.
Duveen booked the suite directly below him
Wow.
and then had his valet
Uh-huh.
befriend Mellon's valet.
Oh my God.
And through this connection,
Mhm.
he learned exactly when and where Mellon would be leaving his suite every single day.
This is like something out of a spy novel.
I know, right?
Okay, so what happened?
So just as planned,
Yeah.
Duveen bumped into Mellon
Right.
at the elevator,
Right.
acting completely surprised, of course.
Of course.
And then casually mentioned that he was just on his way
Yeah.
to the National Gallery,
Yeah.
knowing full well that Mellon was heading there too.
He had it all planned out.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And because he'd done his homework,
Yeah.
Duveen knew exactly how to steer the conversation
Right.
during their impromptu visit to the gallery,
Yeah.
subtly mirroring Mellon's interests,
Mm.
pointing out details that he knew Mellon would appreciate,
Mm.
and really just positioning himself as this kind of kindred spirit.
So by using his knowledge of Mellon,
Yes.
he went from being completely ignored
Exactly.
to being his like trusted advisor.
Precisely.
Ah.
And that's the power of this,
Yeah.
strategic information gathering.
Yeah.
And I think Duveen's story, it's not just about selling art. It really is about the power of observation,
Mm-hmm.
asking the right questions,
Yeah.
and understanding the motivations of those around you.
Yeah.
And those are all skills that I think we can all agree translate to any field.
Absolutely. Duveen's story is amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about like using information to your advantage.
absolutely.
But you know what I like about how Greene writes is that he doesn't just like drop this bombshell on you
Right.
and be like, figure it out.
Exactly.
He gives all these tactics from like history's masters
Yeah.
of this kind of subtle information gathering.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he talks about this guy, Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, who was like this French diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of him?
Oh, yeah, Talleyrand.
Uh-huh.
He was a master of what Greene calls conversational espionage.
Ooh, conversational espionage.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Well, you know how they say loose lips sink ships?
Right, right.
It's kind of like that he understood that people often reveal more than they intend to, especially in casual conversation.
Okay.
You know, where they let their guard down a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
And Talleyrand was the one who was steering those conversations toward
Right.
the sensitive topics.
Okay, so how did he get people to, like, spill the beans?
Well, he was a master at seeming engaged
Okay.
and interested without actually saying very much.
Yeah, Lasiki.
Right. So he would ask
Yeah.
carefully calibrated questions
Okay.
that would prompt people to kind of open up
Okay.
and reveal their true thoughts
Mhm.
and intentions,
Right.
often without even realizing what they were doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he was playing this, like, strategic game of information extraction
Totally.
at, like, a party or a dinner or something.
Absolutely. Think about it. Have you ever been to like a party or a networking event?
Sure.
And there's that one person that everyone just seems to open up to?
Yeah.
Like they just have this knack for getting people to talk.
Right?
They might not even be aware of the techniques they're using, but they instinctively understand the power of listening,
Right.
observing and asking the right questions at the right time. And that was Talleyrand.
Man, it's kind of scary how much information
Yeah,
I'm sure I've given away.
Right.
Just in, like, casual conversation.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about listening, though.
Yeah.
Talleyrand would sometimes spread false rumors.
Oh, what?
Yeah, just to see who would bite
Wow.
and how they would react.
Okay.
So it's a way of testing allegiances
Okay.
and uncovering hidden agendas.
Wow. So he's thinking, like, steps ahead
Right.
of everybody else.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So I'm not saying that, like,
Yeah.
we need to go out and start spreading false rumors,
Right.
but, like, how can we apply these tactics in our own lives
Right.
in a way that feels, less Machiavellian?
Right. It's about being more mindful, more observant
Yeah.
in our everyday interactions.
Okay.
So, for example, imagine you're in a job interview, and instead of just like, rattling off your accomplishments and skills,
Right.
why not take a page from Talleyrand's playbook
Okay.
and ask the interviewer a thoughtful question
Yeah.
about the company's challenges
Yeah.
or goals?
Okay. Interesting.
Because not only does it show them that you're genuinely interested and engaged,
Mm-hmm.
but it might also spark a conversation
Right.
that reveals really valuable insights about the company culture or the role itself.
It's about being more present in the moment
Exactly.
and using those cues to your advantage to
Gotcha.
understand, not to manipulate.
Exactly.
But Green doesn't stop there.
No, he doesn't.
Talks about strategic vulnerability.
Right.
And he uses this French writer,
Mm-hmm.
La Rochefoucauld, I think it is.
La Rochefoucauld, yeah.
Okay, and he said, sincerity is found in very few men and is often less at home in the heart than on the lips.
Right.
So he's saying that, like,
Yeah.
being sincere,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a tactic,
Yeah.
can be a powerful tool.
Absolutely.
How does that work? Because I feel like if I let my guard down,
Right.
I'm more vulnerable, not less.
Well, and that's the brilliance of it.
Okay.
By revealing a carefully chosen anecdote
Okay.
or vulnerability,
Mhm.
you actually create a sense of trust
Okay.
and reciprocity.
Right.
The other person feels more comfortable opening up
Okay.
in return.
So it's like a give to get.
Exactly.
But how do you choose what to give?
Right.
I don't want to be, like, telling all my secrets.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to, like, give away the farm.
Exactly.
Right.
It's got to be strategic.
It's like that saying, like, don't play poker with a straight face.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
You don't want to seem like you're trying to mislead,
Right.
but at the same time, you're being careful.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about listening. We've
Mhm.
talked about, like, giving a little to get a little.
Right.
But Green doesn't stop there.
No, he doesn't.
He even talks about using disagreement
Yes.
as a way to get information.
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, it sounds kind of risky.
Yeah. But he actually highlights Arthur Schopenhauer,
Okay.
the philosopher,
Mhm.
who believed that provoking an emotional response,
Okay.
even a negative one,
Yeah.
can actually be very revealing.
Okay.
Because when people get riled up,
Yeah.
they tend to let their guard down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to blurt out their true feelings.
Right. So it's not about, like,
Right.
picking a fight.
Right.
It's more about, like,
It's like thoughtful disagreement.
thoughtful disagreement. Yeah, just to kind of, like,
Yeah.
see what happens.
Right. Like stir the pot a little bit.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of like how that might work?
Sure. So let's say you're in a meeting
Okay.
and a colleague presents an idea that
Yeah.
you're not totally sold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just, like, nodding along,
Right.
you could maybe gently push back,
Mm-hmm.
ask some probing questions
Okay.
about, potential challenges or alternative approaches.
Right. And that will often reveal
Yeah.
hidden reservations or agendas.
It's like sometimes you need to
Yeah.
apply a little pressure
Right.
to see what's really there.
Exactly. And it's, everybody does that saying, pressure creates diamonds.
Right. It's
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah. And Green gives this other really interesting anecdote
Okay.
about this Persian king, King Chosroes.
Okay.
And he had this very unique way of testing
Okay.
the loyalty of his courtiers.
Okay. What did he do?
So he would spread a rumor,
Okay.
like a false secret,
Okay.
to like one courtier.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, this is like a matter of life or death. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
And then he would just like watch,
Interesting.
see if they kept the secret
Wow.
or if they went and told other people.
So it's a test
Yeah, it's
to see like who you could trust.
exactly.
Wow.
Pretty high stakes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that relate to like
Right. Yeah.
us today?
Well, it might seem extreme.
Yeah.
But I think the underlying principle is still very relevant.
Okay.
It highlights the fact that actions often speak louder than words.
Right.
And we can learn a lot by observing how people behave
Yeah.
when they think no one's watching.
Right. Or when they think they're in a position of power.
Exactly.
It's like all those little things we do when we think no one's looking
Right.
that say so much about who we really are.
Exactly. And it's funny because having this conversation,
Yeah.
we're learning about all these tactics
Well,
for observing and understanding other people.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they be using these same tactics on us?
Right. It's like a hall of mirrors.
Exactly.
Everybody's trying to read everybody else.
Right.
But I feel like just knowing that it's happening
Yeah.
is like a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
It's like Green is giving us like the cheat codes to the game
The cheat codes, exactly.
that everybody's playing,
Yeah.
but nobody realizes it.
Right. And like any game, the more aware you are of the rules
Right.
and the strategies,
Yeah.
the better equipped you are to play it well.
Exactly. And it's not about like
Right.
being manipulative.
No, it's not about being manipulative.
It's about like
It's protecting your...
self-protection and just navigating the complexities
Right.
of human interaction more effectively.
I love that. Yeah, it's about being
Yeah.
like a student of human nature.
Exactly.
Understanding all the weird little things
The subtle cues
that we do.
that drive our behavior.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes life so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a constant source of learning and discovery.
So there you have it.
There you go.
I think we have successfully
I think so.
infiltrated the world
Yes,
of subtle information warfare.
absolutely.
We learned from the best,
We did.
from like art dealers to diplomats
That's right.
to ancient Persian kings.
Exactly.
And you know what I feel like?
What?
We're all walking out of here
A little more perceptive,
a little wiser.
a little more observant,
Absolutely.
and hopefully a little more prepared
Yes.
to navigate this like subtle dance of information
That's a great way to put it.
that's always swirling around us.
I like that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
Okay.
I think we're good to go.
Sounds good.